Today I'm going to tell you about my experience getting a rhizotomy. Mind you, it hasn't quite been a week since the procedure, so I'm not going to be telling you about the long term. What we are going to discuss is what the procedure was like and what the recovery has been so far. So first of all, it legit took so much longer for the pre-op than the actual procedure. It took about 2.5 hours, and that is not counting all the check-in stuff because I went in a week before to do paperwork and get the pre-op testing done, blood work and urine and whatever. Day of the actual procedure, they take you back, they check you in, you change into a gown, and you wait. And wait. And the nurses come and they put your bracelets on and they, ask you. So many people will ask you so many times your name, date of birth, information, whatever. And they ask you what procedure you are having done. You go through this whole long process. You meet multiple doctors. So I met all the nurses that were going to be in the room. I met the anesthesiologist. I met the head nurse. And then, of course, the doctor who is going to be performing the procedure. The doctor marked me up on the correct side, double checked everything with me, and they hook you up with an IV. They pump you full of fluids, and at some point they injected something that I'm not sure what it was, and that was right before they took me back to begin the procedure. I think it was basically an antibiotic, and then you go back into the room and they put your hairnet on and they put oxygen on, and you're talking to the doctors and everybody, and they're just kind of confirming everything. And then they start the meds, and they didn't tell me they were starting the meds, but you can taste it and you can feel it start to take effect. So they roll me onto my stomach because the procedure is done from the back, obviously. And I don't remember anything after that. Next thing I know, I'm wide awake. They're like, hey, there she is. And I felt fine. Looked at the clock and it had been 35 minutes since I left the room where they wheeled me back for the procedure to where I woke up. So I just kind of chit-chatted with the nurses because they have to watch you for half an hour to make sure that you're good to go. After about 20 minutes, they allowed me to get up and get dressed. And then they started getting me ready to go. They wheeled me out and I drove home. Literally do not remember a thing about the actual procedure. I was so nervous going in because I read conflicting articles online about what this procedure would be like, and I can't speak for every doctor. I can only speak for mine and what my experience was. But when I was reading online, they were talking about, they're going to put this needle in and numb you and to check where your pain is for sure before they go in with, the needle for the actual rhizotomy, where they basically, cauterize your nerves. And I was so terrified that they were going to poke me while I was awake because of my experience with getting the SI injection was so bad. I was so terrified that that was going to happen again. And like talking to the doctor and nurses, they were saying, no, you're not going to remember anything, but like it was just hard for me to believe. And I was so relieved when I woke up and I didn't remember any of it. When I woke up, I didn't have any issues with what they used. In my case, they use propofol, fentanyl, and Versed, which I have had in the past for a colonoscopy and didn't have issues with, so I knew it was going to be okay. So that's what they used on me, and the only thing that I can say, which I can't 100% attribute to the meds, is that on the way home I got really nauseous and really hot and like sweaty. But I did just go from a hospital, which was a cool 75, to Texas morning, which was 105 degrees. So it could have literally just been adjusting to the weather. I also get really bad motion sickness, and if you know Texas, you know the roads here are really bad. And so it could have been, you know, car sickness from driving on the way home, and I was talking and not really paying attention. Um, I still had all these meds in me on an empty stomach because you have to fast for 12 hours before your appointment, and I had been fasting for over 24 hours. I hadn't eaten since 6:30 the night before, and I didn't leave the hospital until 9 a.m. So it could have just been that. I was literally gone by the time we got home. And the only other after effects that I have experienced so far is a little bit of like on edge. I wouldn't say angry, I just feel like quick tempered, like, you know, easily irritated. Pretty much gone at this point, and it hasn't quite been a week since the procedure, like I said, so I can't attest to the long-term effects or to as to whether or not this procedure. I can say that whatever they used to numb me, it was something with an M. It wasn't lidocaine, but it was like midrocaine, I think. Anyways, it worked really well because like my buttock, thigh, and part of my was numb for hours. And when that wore off, I was sore, but it wasn't unbearable. I didn't take any pain meds or. And then day 3, I noticed that there wasn't as much nerve pain. It was like pretty much not there. But then when I started moving around or like I sit, it hurt. Now, day 5, I feel like before surgery. The pain is there, it sucks, it's radiating, etc. But I've been told and I have read that, you know, this takes a while to work, so I'm not completely giving up hope yet, and I will keep you guys informed. I'm going to show you a picture of the incision site. So as you can see, I mean, you can't even tell where they went in unless you are looking for it. And at this point, I mean, there's just nothing there. That was my experience with a rhizotomy. So I hope that yours goes just as well, or if you're just curious and watching this video, I hope you learned something. And yeah, stay tuned for updates. Thanks, guys.